perhaps they're oblivious of history. It's true that the police were brutal under Daniel Moi, special branch. There was that special branch, dreaded. I think it was headed by someone called James Kanyutu. But before, under Jomo Kenyatta, the police was equally brutal. Those who read Kenya's history will tell you that there was somebody called Bernard Hinga, Commissioner of Police, extremely dreaded. And under his watch, there was something called Anti-Stock Theft Unit. It was formed and was headed by somebody called James Mungai. That Anti-Stock Theft Unit mutated into some kind of a militia, which was called Ngoroko. That militia was meant to control Jomo Kenyatta's succession. And it was accused of having earmarked certain people for elimination. Daniel Moi, Moi Kibaki, Charles Njonjo. Why? Because those people were not in tune with change the constitution movement. A bunch of dyed-in-the-wool ethnic chauvinists who did not want Daniel Moi to succeed Kenyatta. As fate would have it, when Kenyatta died, one of the first people to be informed was Daniel Moi. And those people are not even anywhere close to Jomo Kenyatta, so they could not execute their nefarious scheme. That was fate. So we've had a very brutal police force all along, very brutal abuse for political ends, and people who've headed the police in Kenya have always acted with impunity from the beginning until now. And the police are always married with militia, whether it is Jeshi la Mzee, as one of the speakers talked about, under Fred Gumo, or this Goroko thing, or at some point Mungiku was accused of also being given a free pass by the police, like in 2002, when the Mungiki militia openly and defiantly protested along the streets of Nairobi using police Land Rovers in support of Uhuru Kenyatta. That was when Moi felt that his succession designs were facing headwinds. He could even allow the militia to infiltrate the police. Why? Because of the corruption we're talking about. The state has been commandeered by people for self-serving ends. And if you do those kind of things, you will actually use violence to suppress those who are opposed to what you're doing. You'll need violence to suppress protesters. You'll need violence to suppress those who are agitating for comprehensive reform and those who are agitating for a state that is open and serves all and sundry. So it's factually incorrect to say that this amount of violence is unprecedented. If you read Kenya's history, this violence is continuous. We are part of a continuum. Why? The challenge is this. Why is it that some of us find it difficult to look at what we are faced with as a continuum? It's a self-reproducing, autocratic, repressive system, as opposed to persons at the top. It's a system that reproduces itself, and it's embedded in violence. So it's only the person at the top. At some point, they go away. The one who comes continues from the other one left. I will tell you why that is the case. If you read people's submissions to Yash Palgai-led Constitution of Kenya Review Commission, Kenyans across the board submitted that the provincial administration must be retired. Why? Because it was integral in violence. It's part of the violence we're talking about. NIS, DCI, special branch before, and the normal police. All these are instruments of violence. But the provincial administration is still intact. So why didn't Moi Kibaki retire it? No, because it's integral to maintenance of state violence. You know, they refer to them as the eyes and ears of the president on the ground. It is a relic of the colonial state, this provincial administration thing. Those people who are called regional commissioners, they are the successors of provincial commissioners and district commissioners, those kind of people. They would rig elections, they would harass people in the villages about illicit liquors and stuff like that. They've got a very sordid history. So when I hear things like Afadhali, Moi, Nyayo, torture, chambers, I wonder, like, is there a genre of violence that is acceptable and one that is unacceptable? I mean, how do you even calibrate violence? Violence is violence. Violence under Daniel Moi was obnoxious. Violence currently is obnoxious. Violence under Moi Kibaki was obnoxious. Under Uhuru Kenyatta, equally obnoxious. And so is violence under Jomo Kenyatta or Kenyatta 1. We cannot accept any genre of violence and say this violence is acceptable because, oh, this number of people. We are saying it's never about death. Violence is never about death. When we gauge what amount of violence is acceptable and which one is unacceptable on the basis of death toll, we've lost our sense of humanity for the simple reason that nobody should be subjected to torture, to violence, to arbitrary abductions, and to death. Nobody in a functioning society. Reform should entail delocalization of the police. That is never mentioned. Why? Because we fetishize this thing called fighting against tribalism. So we think that if you take a police officer from Bungoma to Kilifi, you're promoting national cohesion and stuff like that. Or if you take a police officer from Mandera to Narok, you're promoting national security. No, you are not. Where there's violence, you're just taking somebody who is going to perpetrate violence far away from their home area. And when they are identified, they are transferred to another area to continue the same violence. But can you imagine if you are from Mandera and you are meant to serve as a police officer in Mandera? We want to see how you're going to brutalize people in Mandera. We want to see how you're going to brutalize people in Narok. If you're a police officer and you're working in Narok, let's see how you're going to mow people down. Or you're from Kisumu, you're working in Kisumu. We want to see how you'll be shooting people, mowing them down on the streets. But what do? Because it's a violent institution. Take this person out of their community to another place where they are, alien, they're not known. And then you can mow people down. And when people agitate, they transfer you to another place. I mean, that's part of violence. And that is not mentioned sufficiently enough. Delocalization of the police. The other thing is bright police officers. Ladies and gentlemen, perhaps you have heard of somebody called Dr. Joseph Mengele during the European Holocaust. He's a medical doctor. And he used to carry out research on the victims of the Holocaust before they were thrown into gas chambers. He's a medical doctor. He carried the moniker called Dr. Death. What do we learn from this? And we learn not only from the European Holocaust, but where genocide has occurred, whether in Rwanda or wherever, in the Balkans. What it shows you is that when there is pervasive violence, I can put it to you, one's qualifications in school become irrelevant, such that one of the scholars who have theorized about violence called Hannah Arendt talks about the banality of evil. People start to normalize evil, like Nazis, you go kill people from morning and then you go for lunch and you are laughing and you're cracking jokes. Just the same way people during lunch hours, they go take lunch or go take tea and you crack jokes about how your weekend was, and then after lunch you go back, you continue killing people. The banality of evil. killing people and committing evil becomes normal. It's not something that, pricks your conscience. So this notion that if you recruited bright people in the police, suddenly the violence would disappear, it's not borne out of evidence. Bright people will commit atrocities when the ecosystem of violence exists. People who have not gone to school will commit atrocities when the ecosystem of violence and atrocities exist. It's never a question of you're bright and therefore you're going to desist from committing violence. It's that you're working for a brutal, inhumane, autocratic regime. You have no option but to be autocratic. Otherwise, you wouldn't work for it. You would not work for the police. If you didn't abet the violence, you would not be recruited. You're recruited because you're eligible to participate in that violence. So let us not fetishize school, where institutions and systems have failed. It doesn't work like that. People have gone to school, people have not gone to school. Violence, autocracy, dictatorship corrodes their soul in equal measure. These bills, for instance, that members of parliament pass, we wake up every other time, it's about agriculture, it's about business, it's about what they call, these are critical, infrastructural installations. You are not supposed to interfere with them. Some very weird bills. Who crafts these bills, if I may ask? You want to tell me these people are not going to school? You want to tell me these people are crafting these bills have not gone to school? They haven't gone to college, they don't have tertiary education? These parliamentarians, you want to tell me that? They have. And this is violence, for those who don't know. Violence is not just about guns and weapons and bullets. In fact, the most atrocious form of violence is psychological. And it's one that is embedded in institutions and policies and laws. That's the worst form of violence. And this is violence. Those bills that people are ever going to court to challenge, what do you think that is? That's violence. That's brutal force. Because they are aimed to control people. They are aimed to circumscribe people's freedoms and what they can do, whether it's farming, whether it's trade, whether it's in education. That's violence. It's worse than the violence the police are perpetrating on the streets. In fact, that is structural violence. And that's what we have in Kenya. So why do we think that it's only people who go Ds and stuff like that who are committing violence in Kenya? These people in parliament and what are we, these bills and acts of parliament that they're enacting, which are contrary to the constitution, what do they constitute? It's violence. It is. So I would like us to look at this, police violence and the need for reform from a wider perspective. It's an indictment on the state. The police, if they're corrupt, it means that's how the state operates. That's what it is. If they're not corrupt, it means the state does not condone corruption. If the police shoot people and the following day they're arrested and they're tried, that means the state does not condone corruption. But if they shoot people and they are praised and no one appears in court, what does that tell you? It tells you that the problem is not with the police. The problem is whoever the police are accountable to. So we've tried about police reforms, it has not worked. The Inspector General of Police was supposed to be under civilian oversight. National Police Service Commission was supposed to have a say in who becomes Inspector General of Police. That has not worked. This individual is still being unilaterally appointed by the president and therefore will work at the beck and call of the president like previously when we used to have the Commissioner of Police. Now we have got Inspector General of Police. Yes, it's a nice sounding title, but the violence is still embedded in it. Pipita, I yield. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Western Shilaho, for that.
Social conversations, engaging topics on your phone anywhere. This is Home Run with PP.
Kama kawaida, Home Run PP ndo tuna hapa hivi kwenye hewa, 20 minutes to the top of the hour. Oseyo is here with us. How are you doing, Oseyo? Thank you so much, Western, for that submission as well. Oseyo, uko hapo? All right. Looks like Oseyo is not joining us right now. Let me see what is going on in the comment section as well. It's good to also listen to those who are unable to go to the microphone. So Armstrong is saying, so I believe the solution starts with the people within and outside the service. That is dealing with corruption, favorism, lack of accountability, immorality, etc. I think restructuring alone is not the solution. Remember, an office is as good as the occupant. In essence, getting a civilian boss is not the solution. The US has the worst case of police brutality misbehavior, and despite the civilian head. Haya, Ima anasema since maandamano, I can't look them in the eye. Ikiwezekana wafutwe wote tuanze upya. I believe they should acquire some critical skills accustomed to Kenyans, like communications, interpersonal, critical thinking. It will save us from the rubbish we witness every time. That is Ima. Dennis Chacha is saying reforms will happen once the police are fully independent, where the IG is appointed based on the rank they have attained, like how the army does. When they appoint their CDF, because the IG serves the interest of the president when he appoints him. And finally, let's see if Daniel Gakombe is saying, police reforms, are you joking? They can never reform. They can never reform. What are you talking about? What is he saying?
Social conversations, engaging topics on your phone anywhere. This is Home Run with Pippi.
Why do we spend a lot of time talking on spaces if you guys don't believe that we can change? Why? Tunatumia muda mrefu hapa hivi kwa spaces tukifanya nini? You see, we keep on investing into these spaces. Why? If you guys don't believe we can change. Hiyo ndo swali yangu ya leo, because I don't really understand. We talk a lot. We speak for 6 hours. That is about 5 to 6 hours. That's about 30 hours a week. Hapa kwa Home Run peke yake. And there are other spaces, of course, speaking about the same things. And then we just are believing that we can't. So mbona tunaka hapa basi? You know, we have to have a purpose. We have to talk about something. We have to make it about something. Otherwise, tutashinda tu tukisema, oh, we're losing. Yeah. So thank you so much for tuning in hapa hivi kwenye Home Run, ladies and gentlemen. Naona nani hapa hivi anaitwa nani? Aluta ametujoin. Aluta, how are you doing?
Doing just fine. Thanks. I've just been following this space, and okay, I'll just start by saying that the issue of police reforms is something that I've been very, very, very sentimental about. Why? Police reforms. First of all, we have the Constitution, and I would like, first of all, to elucidate about what the Constitution envisions about what are the principles of the National Police Service. The principles of the National Police Service are very clear, that it's a service, it's not a force, and therefore it's supposed to be subservient to the authority of the Constitution, as well as the Parliament, and to uphold the principles of the Constitution, that is the principles of governance, under Article 10, and human rights and fundamental freedoms. That is under Article 238. I was just trying to get that. So what?
It looks like I've lost you, Aluta. Are you there? Juzo ananisikia? I don't know if Aluta, can you get me? Yeah. Ni kama umepigiwa simu ama nini? Talk to me.
Unanisikia sahi?
Sahi nakupata poa.
Asante. What I was saying is that kuna shida wakati tunasema kwamba polisi issue yao ni kwamba ni watu wa D. Ukiangalia wase wenye wako sahi, like the DIGs, one of them is Lagat. Lagat holds a master's degree in armed conflict and peace studies from the UN. We also have a guy called what is his name? Masengeri, the infamous Masengeri. He holds a master's degree in security and forensics management. And you can just tell that it is an issue of the issue of independence. It is a rotten system. The Maraga report is just, a drop in a sea. What we are looking at is an institutionalized problem which has been perpetuated throughout by the political class, which feign
Aluta.
unipati hadi sahi.
No, umepotea kidogo dakika moja hapo hivi. Yes. So now we
Wacha ni drop then nirudi. Maybe ni net yangu.
all right. So because I also had an issue with one of the speakers. Hebu jaribu kurotate ukuje tuonge.
Sawa.
All right. I want to hear from Ndovu. How are you doing, Ndovu? Ndovu, unmute your mic if you can.
Hi, Peter.
Hi.
Yeah, thanks for giving me this chance to share the most of the things that I was thinking of sharing have already been aired out. The other some things that happen with the police service and like corruption and all these kind of things. They are just like they come from above, as all the other people have said. Because I have my friends who say that they are asked by their commander, their leaders in the force to give this money, to collect the amount of money that the boss want from the when he's in the office. He say just go on the road, pick up matatu people, tell them to give you money, pick up boda riders, collect money from them, this kind of thing. So they come and then they do this on the street. This kind of things that happen is they are told what to do. They are commanded what to do. And the other thing is the salary, the payment. When they are paid like very poor, they will look for somewhere else to get some money, to get more money, and to help so that they can be able to help themselves. So they will go, get being corrupted. And the other thing is the way they, brutalize people. For me, I tend to think is because of how they are trained. Their training is too much kind of brutal itself. Like they go in a very hardship training, and they kind of abused in their training. So these things come back to to people who even don't know, to the civilians. So they tend to pay back what they were done towards civilians who just they are not involved. So these are things that repeat themselves to another people, to other people who are not involved. The other thing is I think also our country have a way of copying things from bad. They copy bad example from other countries, and they apply them in the country. They paste is a copy paste. They just copy and paste in the country. Like most of these things, they get them from America. They see how police beat people up and they brutalize people there, and then they come and put it in Kenya. Like, but why they can't copy from better countries? I know a country that protect people who are going for demonstration. When people going for demonstration, tukienda maandamano, polisi wanatoka wanaenda kuprotect the protestants. Mnaenda mkuwa mmeprotectiwa, you do your maandamanos and you go back home safe. I know countries that when people are going to enjoy themselves in the club, the police are lined up in certain places so people can drink peacefully. These are things that our country lack. Police are used to demean and to brutalize people who even have no offense. We just and the other thing is, you see, the problem with this, especially things to do with corruption, it come to when police come and ask you for bribe. Sometimes you find yourself in a situation that is difficult, because sometimes you're put in a situation that you just need to comply with them, because otherwise you're gonna go to jail, you're gonna lose your money, you're gonna lose your car, it will become too hard for you to come out of the situation that they put you in. So these are things that you're not corrupt, but you find yourself corrupt. Even when people are looking for jobs, you find yourself you are really in need. As the one person spoke there, is going to look for a job and he asks for money, for bribe, and he's in a situation. This is a situation that you've been put on. You don't want it, but you just been put on a situation that is difficult. So you just find yourself in the mud with the people in the mud as well. You just find yourself in those kind of things, because it's not like you want it, but you just put in those kind of situation by the people who should not do that. So I'm very happy. Like a lot of people have spoken a lot of good things, and they make a lot of sense. I'm still here listening, and maybe I'll come back later on. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ndovu, for your submission. I want to go back to Aluta. Aluta was trying to talk to us before he dropped. So, Aluta.
Thanks again, Pipita. What I was saying is that it is not an issue of education. Currently, we have police cadets. These are people who have, training in various fields, across various fields. The issue is the way this police system in Kenya has been has been entrenched. How do we move away from a police force, rather, which is under the whims, or which is being handpicked by the politicians, to a police service that is citizen-centric or citizen-centered? Now, as I've said, that we have the Constitution has the scaffolding about what the police service should be under Article 238 and under the objects and the principles of the national security organs. It is there. So what do we do about this? Pipita, you talked about a very profound issue about corona services. The policemen, I know they're exposed to so much trauma pale kwa field, such that unapata watu due to dealing with too many dead bodies or dead people, of which, circumstances about, around some of these deaths are just, deplorable and, something you would not want to be exposed to. I think the way you are bringing it up, yes, we have the Corona Services Act of 2017, and there is a substantive office. I don't know the office holder, but there is the Coroner General. I believe we could do something better. Of course, we know that the morgues are under the county governments and blah, 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 because of the devolution of healthcare services. But maybe this is an area where some collaboration is called for, and it's important that the policemen are not exposed to so much, death, such that when it affects their cognitive function. And I'm talking from a point of view of a healthcare provider. Now, how do we reform this service? What are the, infrastructural gaps that we have? I heard someone talk about an issue to do with, typing and, lack of even network, lack of, the hardware within the police stations. You find that so many things are just analog, and the skills are just, way below what you would want, and then the services are just, awkward. So what do we do? I was thinking that maybe we can have a system. We move to digital, such that these doing the charge sheets and ensuring that there are logs, and then ensuring that even the policemen have body cams, so that those people are going against what is ethically provided for under the code of conduct and under the laws. Those culprits are able to be dealt with, so that we make it mandatory under the law and under the policies that the policemen must wear their body cams whenever they are out there in the field interacting with us, because policemen are dealing with us, despite wale wenye wako kwa border patrol, wale wengi ni wenye tunadeal na wao hapa. So I don't see the essence of the government focusing on a shift software or a shift technology that's going to cost around 104 billions, while we can only use less than 20 billions to deal with an issue which has costed us too much, and which is still bedeviling us. Because, when you go to courts, who are the culprits who make sure that cases don't go anywhere? It is the police, because it is their work to collect the evidence and to present it in the right manner before the judge. Yeah. So I think there's too much that we can do. We can use, even although the justice system is a bit complicated, as you know, because politicians have their people everywhere. They are the people who have these senior police officers, superintendents, and commissioners or DIGs or whoever. They are just planted there by particular politicians to serve partisan interests, contrary to the Constitution. So you find that someone is there, courtesy of someone. Someone can be called, a senior police officer can be called by Barasa, Didmas Barasa from somewhere, or maybe a person X or Y, and given instructions concerning a particular matter or case, yeah, or maybe they will just be handpicked. They will just be told, hakikisha hao watu hawaleti nyoko. So what will they do? And then the issue of plausible deniability comes in. Yeah, just like the CIA used to do it in the 1960s back in the US. You find that these senior police officers, they always deny that when they're confronted, police doing this or that, they just say no. If you have evidence, bring it forward. You remember Kinoti saying before the media that if you have evidence about police officers renting their guns, come and bring that. It's absurd, man. It's absurd. So what do we do? What do we do, guys? We have the law. I think what we can do is that we have as a guest of this, whereby we want to do away with this corrupt political class. Once we deal with that, guys, we'll be able to streamline everything, because the fish rots from the head. Kuna askari aliniambia, na hayo mambo yote by the watu wamesema, hata hivyo kutransfer nini kupeleka huko hardship areas, they are true. So there's a police officer is my friend, and he told me, wakati corruption itaisha State House ama Harambee House, basi hata huko chini itaisha. Unaona? So guys, let us keep talking about these things, enlightening each other's one another, and trying to find a way in which we can save our society, because we have the weakest link of all. As someone said that the CIA said that they said that the weakest link to our national security is corruption. If we are able to deal with this monster within the police service, ensuring that the police are recruited in the right manner, ensuring that we even have citizenry, appraisals, that the police stations that are operating within our respective areas, we can appraise whatever they're doing, and that goes far away actually to be implemented in terms of how these officers are even promoted, so that they know that we are capable of holding them to account, because Parliament has failed. Parliament has failed because these are the people under the Constitution who are supposed to hold the police, the National Police Service, to account, but they have failed us, and they will not do that. So, guys, I can talk about too much about my, experience with the police, but that's a story for another day. So I beg to yield.
All right, thank you so much, Aluta, for that. Aluta's submission gets us to the final hour of the show. In the next 56 minutes, we'll be off. But right now,
social conversations, engaging topics on your phone anywhere. This is Home Run with PP.
Karibu sana kwenye Home Run with PP, mabibi na mabwana. Here on Home Run with PP, we spend time talking about social conversations, things that affect us, and of course, when you talk to us, sometimes we talk to people who have actually gone through these things on a personal level. Na kuna mtu hapa hivi ameongea, wewe ni askari, hata ukatae. Afande please, afande please, afande please, unajijua. Unajua sisi eti hatukwangi tumekasirika sana, eti unajuanga but afande please bring yourself here and tell us exactly. I know they're not supposed to be speaking about these things. They don't even take interviews unless they are telling us about something that happened. Anyway, I'd like to hear more submissions in these next 54 minutes. I'd like to welcome you to Home Run with PP. We are at 200 and how many subscribers? Wacha niwaambie. You can support Home Run with PP in two forms. You can either subscribe to our channel. Kama umesubscribe, yoni. One way you can do it. Kama uko hapa hivi and you have not subscribed to Home Run with PP, shika ikiboko. HRWP. YouTube.com/@Home Run with PP. Just write that. Ama HRWP. Unanipata pale hivi with the logo. Yes. Out there. Na ndio hiyo hapo hivi kuna tweet yenye iko hapo, you can click directly to that. We are about 50 something, 56. Yes, I know that people who are listening here and have not subscribed, so make sure you subscribe to that channel. We want to get to 300. I have the Journey series coming up featuring Grace Olwande, and of course I'll be shooting up another one this weekend. So it's work you pande wa pili ya studio. So asanteni sana kwa wale watu ambao wanatusikiza, and also if you like what you're doing, you can always support this show. 0721948229 is the M-Pesa number to support the show. Asanteni sana. Now Ellis Hill, jamani, unaitisha microphone, una disappear. Where are you, Ellis? It's been a minute since I spoke to you. Request the microphone and talk to us. Na ninaonanga tunapenda hii kazi ya kudescribe other countries and using big words, other leaders and what happened in the past. But I think the reason why we have a Constitution 2010 is because we needed to move away from the past, from whatever Kinanyotus were doing. But then again, they bring it back, run it back again. Yeah, coming up nominations hapo hivi, I think we can never move, or if the Chief Justice is elected by the President, IG President, DCI, DPP. So what do you expect? I agree with the speakers. Our society is the way it is by design. By design. Wow. The society we are in is by design. We are conditioned to produce a certain result. I believe we can change the system if we condition our mind and actions to produce long-term positive results. We can break free and reform. That is Al Kebulan Songbird talking to us from the comment section. And I believe we can change, but it needs a lot of work and commitment on both sides. Yeah. Ni hivyo inafaa bana. Unajua saa zingine unashindwa kukuja kwa comment kwa mic, so unatuachia comment hapo hivi sisi tunaisoma. What else is happening out there on the comment section? I think I've read all the comments. I think I read all of them. Yeah, so watu wanaongelea housing. We have seen that issue of housing a lot, and there's that issue that Patrick highlighted. That and I want to bring in Western on this. Why is it that we always punish mistakes with transfers? I have never understood. Like, for example, if a police officer wrongfully arrests Ndovu on his way home, why is he being transferred to Lodwar instead of him being fired? Weston, are you there?
I'm here, Pepito. I'm here.
I don't know. Maybe you can help me break down what that could be, because I feel like that is also part of the biggest problem. We're always transferring mistakes here and there.
Well, it's one of the weakest aspects of the Kenyan state, post-colonial. You may have heard about teachers who raised issues with CBC. And the Teacher Service Commission, there was this very horrendous case of a teacher in Kitale. I think she raised issues. She was very vocal in her opposition to CBC during those initial days. And TSC transferred her to Lamu or someplace in the coastal region. And she was given, I don't know, a week or something to report to a news station. They didn't bother about whether she's married, she's got a family and stuff like that. You know, she was given marching orders. You either report there or you count yourself fired. Pipita, you're talking about somebody who arrested somebody with what? Was it game? Well, big people, big men are not supposed to be arrested, Pipita. How dare you? So they are not supposed to be arrested. You're breaking one of the cardinal in quotes principles that underpin a government that is soaked in impunity. You're only supposed to arrest small fish and mere mortals, not big men, not influential people. Don't you know that, like, big insects, they can go through the cobweb. The cobweb is meant for small insects. Secondly, it's just punishment, really. There are those areas that are called hardship areas. And you wonder, why would you consider a part of Kenya a hardship area? Why missions in those places? So that it becomes like Kenya's version of Siberia, whereby in you fell afoul of the Kremlin, you are banished to Siberia, the coldest part of Russia. We're doing the same. You're taken to northeastern province, I don't know where, but so this is a hardship area, eh? Why? Because you've neglected it. You haven't afforded people amenities. You don't. So you think it's a God-forsaken place. When you are taken there, that's punishment. So Pipita is just impunity. And even in schools, you find a principal, in a school, fires. It could be fires. Or it could be one school in Kakamega where, students who are fed, bad maize, contaminated. And what happened to this principal? First, the principal told those who were raising questions not to, because they were painting the school in bad light in the media. You should stop forthwith. And then students, fell sick. Unfortunately, some passed on, including, I think, a matron. What happened? The principals were transferred to another school. So you can go and continue your impunity over there. Never punished. That's impunity. Mere mortals. And it's not just government people, but they Pipita. This impunity runs across the body politic. Anybody in a position of influence, of authority in Kenya, they think they can afford to act with impunity. And the worst that could happen to them, they could just be transferred to some other. A school, a principal presides over atrocious results in a school. Well, they're transferred to another school. So you ask yourself, okay, so that school where this person is taken to is where students don't deserve to pass exams. If this guy or this woman was engaged in corruption in this previous school, this station, to such an extent that students were neglected, and that was reflected in poor results in national exams, he's taken to another school, transferred. Yeah, it's part of this, what I call this ecosystem of corruption and impunity, period. The rule of law is only meant for mere mortals, which why the president could talk about the need for the rule of law, but is flanked by a police officer who has not appeared in court. The deputy president will preside over functions, but in attendance is a senior police officer who has not appeared before court and still wax lyrical about the rule of law. You get it. Those were very powerful optics as far as impunity is concerned. You don't do that. In other jurisdictions, No president would allow you to hang around them. If you have not appeared before a court of law, you have not honored summons to appear before a court of law, you will not be allowed. You won't. No deputy president will allow you to appear before them, to flank them during a public function. Because the optics will be so bad that this person affords to show the court the middle finger because he's got the backing of the highest office in the land. But those are things we witness in Kenya. We witness them. There is no crisis of conscience. There's no irony. There's no contradiction. You invoke the constitution, the rule of law, but besides you, there are people who are brazenly breaking the law, breaking the constitution. So transfers have been there as a form of punishment, Pipita. So you neglect some parts of Kenya, you want to use them as areas to banish people who don't toe the line, who ask those hard questions. Can you see how diabolical some policies are in government? So we ask you, if you think Turkana or Mandera or Wajir, whichever area, is a hardship area, and once you're transferred there, that's a punishment, okay. So who is going to uplift the living standards of those people? Why are you leaving them to their devices? And those things have not changed. They're still here and now. The civil service, it's embedded in brutality, in violence, in heartlessness. And that's what the colonialists used to do. That mentality has not changed. Pipita, that will be my take.
All right. I don't know if Hannah came in to address it because Hannah just jumped in while you were speaking. Hannah.
Thank you very much. Actually, the system should be in place. And the system already is in place. But the problem is people do not understand what that word system is. The system is like you start a class. For example, we started at nursery school. The system took us all the way to finish the nursery school. Then we entered. We were promoted because we merited to go to primary school. And then we were promoted to go to secondary and university, and this goes on and on. So the system already exists, but the problem is the system exists to the mere people. But when it comes to the offices of the public, where the public go for services, that is where the problem arises. Why? Because we have politicized these areas so much so that now politicians can come in, interfere with the system and the people within the system. Those people, they can guide themselves. For example, when it comes to the, doctors, they can guide themselves. They know who is a gynecologist, who is a cancerologist. He knows his work. He knows her work ethics. But no, there is always have to be a politician who comes in and says, no, I think this person should not be here because the person is criticizing me because of something stupid I said on the television or something else. So now the problem comes in that the politicians are the one to say you are going to be promoted and you are going to be punished. The same thing applies to the police. The same thing applies to the city council. The same thing. And then you ask yourself, what is wrong? These things are supposed to be independent. That means you are in first year at the medicine. You are you're working in a hospital. If you are doing a good work, they'll promote you and you become a normal doctor. Then from there on, you go on. But you see, the politics came in, and now even those who have finished medicine, but have also done their internship, they cannot be promoted to doctors. Yet they have done it because the politics come in. So we have to make sure that politics does not enter into the system. That's the only way to make sure to safeguard those areas, safeguard those specific public service areas. This is something that I do not understand why. Even in other countries, even less not even in other countries. In Africa specifically, we have this problem, and it's as if like you see, the president wants to be him. He's the president. He's the promoter of the country. He's the guide. He's the publicist. He is everywhere. He does not know how to delegate, and if you do not know how to delegate, then you cannot be a good leader. That's the rule and the laws of a good leader. So when the system is in place, you'll never see a person who is going to be treated richly and the other one be treated poorly. No, because they know the service that they are supposed to be rendered to these people, it is supposed to be equally. It's supposed to be the best of the best. But now, because of politics, we find that you are being thrown there, the other one is being thrown here, and sometimes they even cut your salary because of XYZ, and you are asking yourself, what is going on? So politics has to come out of this system. If we continue tolerating politicians to go into the system. For example, there's a time I saw there's a member of parliament, there's a member of parliament who entered into a university, said that the person who is taking care of that university is not good. The person was taken out because of the politics. Then all of a sudden, the school became useless. All this is because of money to steal. So you see, the politics has to get out. People have to be promoted because of merit. If it's not because of merit, then there's no need. Even when it comes to police, it should be graded. You are finished for 5 years in this, you can be graded to this. You do not need somebody like the way the president does, taking a person who's supposed to go to sleep because he has finished his term. He's 65 years going plus, and then you're taking him to be put to become the commander. It's so stupid. Yeah, you get to ask yourself, where is the system? Why can't they apply the system where, even if it's the attorney general who was promoted, she's supposed to tell the president, you see, sir, the system is supposed to work on its own. If you want to bring somebody here, we have to talk to other people, because you cannot just promote somebody because within that rank there is a problem. There is hierarchy, and if you bring this person here, they will hate the person because he was promoted, not because he was better compared to other people, but no, he was promoted because he knows somebody. So if you see that person being promoted like that, you know very well, even those who are down there, they're going to do the same. Why? Because the person up there has already shown the example, and so you do not blame, because nobody wants to follow the system. The higher ups, they do not want to follow the system. The down, they will not follow the system. That's the end. Thank you very much, and I'm very sorry if I stayed for long. Bye.
Thank you, Hannah, for that. I think we have pretty much had everybody. So yeah, we pretty much had everybody. So we are on bonus time. We are mark timing to see if we can have anybody else who has not been heard to speak to us. But so far so good. I think we have had everybody maybe speak. Let me see what comment I have not read. I think we're good. So yeah, thank you so much. Unless Aluta, Juza, or Ndovu have something to say, raise your hands to honor. Yes, but so far so good. I think I don't have anybody who has something to talk to us. And if you have something, just request the microphone. We're here for another 35 minutes before we call it a night hapa hivi ndani kwenye studios.
Social conversations, engaging topics on your phone anywhere. This is Home Run with PP.
Haya basi. Wamenyamaza, inamaanisha tuko sambamba. Shout out to, let me give a couple of shout outs to the people who are here kwa show. Najua pia ni vizuri tupige shout outs. Ellis Hill, African Jani nakuona pale ndani, Medhali nakuona pale ndani, Rufus, Dr. Obure, Pastor Julius, Malia. And that is why I tell people to stop using tough words. Unasikia majina ziko hapo, Josephat, Nixon, Dominic, Cyprian TV, Wodako, how are you doing? Anthony Oro, how are you doing? Who else I can say? Omoro yani Teoro. Anthony Omoro, big up to you. Armstrong. Armstrong, leo umeshinda tukiongea kwenye comment section. Baba Jackie, big up to you as well for tuning in. Nani mwingine naona Alkelbulan, Songbird, big up to you as well. 8K, thanks so much for being here. Iris, Dr. Drac, big up to you and everybody who's tuned in on Home Run PPD. David Onkware, big up to you as well. Sasa basi, wacha niende pale hivi kwa ndugu Western, naona ameinua mkono juu. You can request the microphone. We have about 34 minutes before we call it a night on this side. Western.
Pepita.
Yeah.
Thanks for the chance. There's another concept in Kenya which we use often, but when you flip it on its head, it's not actually what we think it is. This word merit. You know what merit implies? It implies that there is equalization of opportunity. What do I mean? If you roll out mass education across Kenya so that every other Kenyan child has got access to quality education from grade 0 to tertiary university, the government guarantees that. And it ensures that those schools are functioning. They have got facilities, they have got teachers who are motivated, and all that quality education entails. Then at the end of that education system, you can actually invoke, but in most cases they usually even don't invoke. You can invoke merit, but they usually don't invoke. In societies that do that, they don't invoke. Because if you invoke merit, what you overlook is the aspect of inequality. Inequality. You overlook that. You overlook something that people also tend to sweep under the carpet, but it really counts. Lack. You overlook something also that really counts. Somebody's background. You overlook that. And then you assume that every other person is operating on an even keel, on an even plane, which is not actually true. And that's why, even in the US, which has been around as a nation state for a donkey years, there's still something called affirmative action. Affirmative action. What does it do? Affirmative action recognizes the history of that country, whereby black people were denied opportunities, beginning with their humanity. It was denied. So that relegates an entire community in poverty, backwardness, and hopelessness, especially when that is institutionalized. Racism was institutionalized. If you go to South Africa, there's also that thing called affirmative action. Why? Because they recognize that for decades, black people did not count in that society. The society, unambiguously, the state served the interests of the minority white community. So after apartheid, they can't say we are going to hire people on merit, because you'll find black people who have not gone to school. So you won't find them. So what do? You'll end up hiring only white people, or those people who had a chance to go to school. And these other people, they will continue in backwardness, in poverty. So you're not going to improve their lot. So what do? They come up with affirmative action, whereby this is institutionalized. It's made through policy. Deliberately, the government will want to empower this community that was previously disadvantaged. That's what they do. The same thing in Kenya, when you hear about the girl child, that's affirmative action. So if you have a society that believes that the girl child does not deserve to go to school, or does not deserve to go past primary school, well, to improve the lot of the girl child, you need policies. And those policies are usually what we refer to as affirmative action. So, if let's say a school wants a child with, let's say, 400 marks and above at standard 8, in that community where the girl child was denied an opportunity to go to school, if you find a child who has got even 250, that child will be admitted in that school that says, here, the pass mark is 400. Affirmative action. Because you take cognizance of the fact that these ones were disadvantaged. Their schools are not just coming up. They don't have role models. They are the first in the community, this cohort of girls who have gone to school. They will be the first role models. The ones the generations to come will be looking up to. The same thing if you go to places like Northeast and those places we're saying that were neglected, or the coastal region and stuff like that. You cannot treat everybody on an equal plane where there have been historical injustices such as marginalization, inequalities. When you do that, you continue punishing those people who have been historically marginalized. You will do that. And that's why in Kenya, people ask, what is the relevance of this woman rep position? That position is part of affirmative action. That the normal hard-nosed politics, women find it difficult to compete against men. Some of the meetings take place at night. Men can hire goons to beat up their opponents and stuff like that. Some even threaten women with violence. So women who are not tough enough, they say, no, I have no business into politics. I have better things to do. So what do? You create a position specifically for women. And that will, usher them into politics. And then eventually they may graduate and run for gubernatorial positions and even presidential elections. That is the reason why that position was set up, that it has been vulgarized by the political elite to appoint their cronies, their what. That is just part of the rot. But the philosophy behind that position cannot be impeached. That we've got women who don't know their responsibility, who are shouting, joining ethnic chauvinists on the stump. That is part of our rot. But you can't impeach the philosophy behind the setting aside of that position. And that's why if somebody went to a school that has got all the facilities, from primary to high school, naturally they'll go to university. Naturally, they will. And even if they don't qualify, they are likely to come from a background where the parents can afford private education, whether locally or abroad. Now, if you treat somebody with such a background, with somebody who comes from humble beginnings, what you will do is that you are not going to dent poverty, you're not going to dent inequalities, and you're not going to build a cohesive society. So there's something called the tyranny of merit. Tyranny of merit, if it's not well understood, what it does is that people become hubristic. I have got this job because I deserve it. No, but you've got a job because you knew somebody in government. You don't deserve it. I've got this job because I deserve it. But you've got this job because you had the opportunity to go to high-end schools. Some other people did not. That's why you've got this job. You've got this job because your father was a president. That's why when you ran for president, you did not have to introduce yourself. Your surname was already known. So whereas somebody from an unknown quantity, you'll have to introduce yourself first. So you're not beginning on an equal keel. That these people get into positions and tend to behave the same way does not negate the fact that if you fetishize merit a lot, what you do is that you exacerbate social inequalities and upheavals in the society. And no society that is aware of the inherent pitfalls of the word merit invokes it quite cavalierly. They don't. And in Kenya, we're one of the most unequal societies, not just in Africa, but across the world. So you cannot just blithely invoke merit. You won't. If you do, it will be like in South Africa, people invoking merit. But if you have to advertise a job, you'll only get, let's say, white people who will be qualified for the job. But that country, they will tell you, no, it's not just made up of white people, it's also made up of black people. In the US, if you invoke merit, you're only going to get people who are historically privileged. You won't get people who are historically disadvantaged. But those people are part and parcel of that society. And that's why Ivy League schools like Harvard, and they've got a provision for students from historically disadvantaged backgrounds. And they get to be enrolled in those schools, not on the same metrics as students who come from, privileged backgrounds. We tend not to do that in Kenya, Pepita. We don't. We do not do it. And that's why, like, these so-called national schools in Kenya, I think there was a minister, was it Matiang'i or somebody, who came up with an idea that, a fraction of those slots be reserved for students from public primary schools. I think that idea was shot down. Yeah, in Kenya it will be shot down. In another jurisdiction, no. Those schools, they will set up a number of opportunities, slots for kids from public schools, and a slot for kids from private schools. But in Kenya, they'll tell you you're discriminating against those kids from private schools. No society that is sane does that. They don't do that. Pepita, that was my take on the tyranny of merit. And people want to read more about these things. You can read books by a philosopher by the name Michael Sandel. You can read. It's written extensively on this topic. Very fascinating stuff that we're not aware of. And even this word historically, it was never meant to be what it is in Kenya. It was an obnoxious word, etymologically how it came about. But we have made it to look as if it's a good word, merit. No. Merit, when you dissect it, you find there are actually inequalities. Thank you, Pepita.
Thank you so much, Weston, for that submission, of course. And you've actually broken down what affirmative action is. And I was among the people who actually before this submission was saying, and that women reposition. But it's because of the way probably our politics have been made to look. But now that you're saying it, it's actually a good step to, through affirmative action to get our ladies into politics. But yeah, not with people like Karen Nyamu though, being the flag bearers. Hawa sasa ndio wanachoma zaidi. We have to be honest with each other. If we keep on having people like Karen Nyamu doing whatever shenanigans they're doing, they are negating the so much hard work the likes of Njoki Ndung'u did when they were members of parliament. Kina Njoki Ndung'u were very, very vocal in the moving of gender-based violence bill, I think, before she became judge, Njoki Ndung'u. So I see people like Wangari Maathai wenye wamekuwa hapa hivi wakipigania environment, and then now you have a senator mwenye kazi yake ni mira. Chani cheze jingle bwana.
You are listening to Home Run with Pipi. Weekdays from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m.
And the reason why I'm talking about that is because she's also part of the defense committee in parliament. Yeah. Videos of her akicheza ngoma na nani na Sonko are what we know of them. angetaka kuwa na dramatic life, angekuja tu kwenda mimi hapa hivi kwa usanii. Unajua artists tunakuanga na some level of rope to do whatever we want, but sasa ikifika mtu kama huyo mwenye amepewa leadership role, and of course you're empowering the girl child, I don't know, man. So we need to do better, and of course even the elected ladies, of course. Now sasa hapo ndo kuna shida kabisa. And here I read Susan Kihika. Oh my God, my governor, you'll make no other woman to be elected in Nakuru to be a governor again. Because what? Today, Governor Susan Kihika launched a tap that was not running. Yani, ali-launch mfereji yenye imetoka hardware. Hey, hata kama. Yeah, kuna vitu zingine mimi naangalia kwa hizi news. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm glitching. This could not be normal, could it? Juza ni kujuze. Are you still on the microphone? Maybe you'd have something to say on the various submissions that have gone after you. Ala, ni kama Juza alienda. Yes, so as I was saying, your story, affirmative action, of course, now if you talk about marks, you cannot say a kid who is kuna documentaries naitwa dangerous roads. I watch them. So one of these episodes is a river in Baringo. Okay, easy information ni nyingi. Sometimes there was this day I was shooting with the Kina Dave, and then it was like, you don't forget stuff. Yeah, so I don't forget. So these dangerous roads, we're talking about a river in Baringo. It's actually Lake Baringo. And students have to swim to cross the lake to go to school. And in that place, there's crocodiles. And these kids have to sit onto mini boats, onto small to rafters, and swim like this mpaka huko. These people have an MP who is probably debating if the president should go for 7 years. So this documentary shows these kids doing that, and then there is a kid in a private school somewhere, and they're going to be held to the same standard. Ani watoto wamedodge mpaka nani? Inaitwa nini? Wamedodge mpaka wamedodge mpaka mashida, crocodiles. Lakini bado watakuwa held to the same standard to life. You know, we are in a business market where if you tell people you studied in Strathmore, they treat you different than to when you tell them you studied in maybe in like a small university, and they call it small. Hannah, you have something to say before I go to African?
Yes. The only way we can do out with such kind of situations, in my opinion, this is my opinion, is if we have a bank. This bank is for the people, by the people. People who, instead of buying bonds and buying things from the bank that actually also are there to promote the government itself, let's us all invest in that bank, put our money in that bank, and then the bank takes it in form of and gives you in form of shares. That way, if we are going to use the money in a project like KQ, or we get the same tender thing, but at the same time we can go a person, people from an area, they can come to that bank and ask for a certain amount and build the bridge, and slowly give back the money if that bridge was not calculated for by the government. If the government decides it's going to calculate the work that the bridge is going to be done with, they can bring back the money that those people used to the bank again. You see, as in, instead of waiting for the government to do everything, we can advance the project, and then the government, when they say tumetenga 1,100 kwa hiyo barabara, then we take that amount and tell the MP, the governor, hiyo pesa si tulikopa ni hii, we want this amount there. So we give back to because what I've noticed is that this government is only respecting businessmen and businesswomen, because everything they want to privatize, not because of any other reason.
How do you mean they respect businessmen and women when businesses are closing?
Not the business, not small businessmen and women. I'm not talking about us.
Cronies. You cannot say they're respecting businessmen when it's only one company that is benefiting from everything.
Exactly, because themselves, they know the amount of money that they are going to earn from that businessman and that businesswoman. But when it comes to us, we are going to advance when we we ask for the amount and we do the project and then give them the paper, the receipt, and they have to give back the money. That's it. We have advanced, and we ourselves, we are not going to stand there asking them to do the thing. We have done it. So what is the reason as to why they will not cooperate? They will have to cooperate. That's the thing. So the bank has to be by the people, for the people, and that is the only way we can get away with so many things instead of dealing with these people directly and having problem with them because of stupid things. That is my take. That is my also, yeah.
Asante sana Hana for that. I see African Journey ako ndani hapa hivi. And of course, African Journey, it's been a minute. How are you doing?
I know it's been a minute. I'm doing well. It's getting cold and dark in northern USA, so I'm starting to think I need a one-way ticket to 254. So I've been a bit busy trying to scramble and all that, but I'm happy to be in spaces. Sometimes I just join and listen, just because I'm multitasking a lot. What I would say on the general topic of just addressing the police reforms, because I was in Kenya for 3 months, and there were two instances. One instance, we were in a matatu, and the police pulled over the vehicle because they said the vehicle was obstructing a VIP motorcade. And the people who were sitting in front with the driver said, no, it wasn't obstructing. And then the police wanted kitu kidogo so that they could let the driver go, and the driver refused. But what ended up happening, one of the passengers who was sitting in front started recording, and that made the police person very upset. So the police ended up arresting this person who was recording, and also arresting the driver for the alleged blocking the VIP motorcade. And guess what happened to the rest of us passengers? We were all asked to alight the vehicle. But there was one thing that I picked up. Everybody was fighting for this driver and for this man who was getting arrested. But we couldn't fight beyond just the words. People were getting up and saying, what did this driver do? No, he wasn't blocking the motorcade and everything. But the police was just ignoring it. They picked their target, who was the driver and the person who was recording. They bundled them all, and the rest of us were asked to alight, and we had to find new matatus. So what I recognized with that is people are recognizing the corruption that's going on. People are trying their best. Sometimes they just feel powerless, or even though we try, it doesn't work out. But please keep doing that, because the children who are in that bus may be watching their parents or their uncles who are standing up and speaking out. Those are the future leaders, and those children are watching how we react when things like this happen. I know somebody earlier had said it's really impossible to do it, but that's the reason why we are in these spaces, is because we have seen the current framework, we have seen what goes on, we know it's not working, and we want change. And so to hear that, even for me, it was disheartening, because we are in these spaces to talk about how can we progress, instead of just saying, oh, there's nothing we can do, and this is just how the country was built. But let me tell you, sharing those very simple examples is what is really going to take us forward, as well as just being able to encourage one another when you are in these situations. The second one was when I had just arrived to Nairobi from Mombasa via the SGR. I wanted to do the train experience with my family. And the person who was picking us up, he was driving a very good car. So there's a way these police people also know which cars to target. And he said that so the police came and stopped him and said that he had done an illegal turn. And the guy said, well, your own officer who's standing over there is the one who told me to take that turn. So how come you guys here now want to put me in trouble for that? So really, these policemen, when they're out there, first of all, I don't know what their pay rate is, but I understand they're low paying jobs. Number two, the job of a policeman is very, very stressful. I would say most of them, once they're done with work, they're going somewhere to drink. So the money they're hustling for, they're not building wealth. They're not building anything that's sustainable. They're just trashing themselves with booze and prostitutes and then going back home and maybe beating up their wives, right? That's their karma. So the second example, the guy that was picking us up, he refused. He was like, no, your own officer told me to take that turn. So if you're going to write me up, we need to write that officer up. And that's how they ended up shutting up. So just being able to know your rights or know what exactly happened and not fly with what the policeman is telling you, that's also a good thing, because sometimes they can confuse you and they can say, oh, you did X, when truly you did not do X. And at that point, you are on a panic mode and you end up just saying, okay, I'm just going to give out some money so you can let me go because I need to go to the next stage. So just being vigilant, and also the rest of us being able to support whoever is being harassed and saying, no, here are the facts that happened, and explain to us why exactly you're trying to pull us over. They're trying to just make extra money, and that's already in their blood. What we need to do is be role models and examples for our children's, our nephews and nieces, so that if and when they ever get into the police force academy and they want to do that as a profession, that they may build up on the foundations they've had through the experiences that we've all faced. It's very difficult, but it's doable. I believe it's doable, and it also starts by just having conversations in these spaces. So thank you so much, Pepita, for putting this agenda out and allowing us to discuss about it.
Asante sana for that, African. I think you're going to be my final speaker for today. I don't think anybody else is looking to come to the mic so far. But yes, you have highlighted your experience. I imagine that is our experience every day. You can, in some places like where I reside, when we were back in school, we used to be profiled, and unasimamishwa na askari anakunusa vidole.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I forgot one piece. In that first incident where all of us were asked to alight, and Manze, we were going to the Huduma Center to get the visa extended for my husband. So he witnessed all of this. He's American born. But Ule conductor profiled me. The conductor charged me extra compared to the person I was sitting with. And I asked the conductor, I was like, si fare huwa ni this much. So kwa hivyo unaniibia? And the conductor was like, yeah, nakuibia. So it was just funny that conductor, in like hizi vipurugusho vile vilianza, the conductor literally disappeared because people were like, where is the conductor to refund us our money so we can get the next bus? But it was just funny that conductor's job was temporarily halted because of his dubious ways of collecting money, which is why I'm saying karma is a bitch. If you're gonna earn money in a legal manner and people are gonna cry and mourn about the money they've given you, ata kama ni 5 shillings extra, it doesn't bring you any blessings at all. It brings you more misery. So profiling is something I've seen. They look at your car, they look at the kind of car you're driving, and they know exactly how they'll be able to harass you and extract something from you. You know, that happens. But wacha ninyamaze.
Haya, ndo hivyo basi lakini it's something that I've noticed. Hata mimi kwa vile niko na kitambi saa zingine na watu wanafikiria niko na pesa, so yeah, I really resonate with what you're saying. But yes, I think that is that for me on my side. Asanteni sana kwa wale ambao wali take part in today's conversation. The speakers, the listeners, all the way from the start until now. It has been a great one. Of course, I'll just remind you that Home Run in PP has a YouTube channel. We have a very awesome story by Dennis Palevi on YouTube. You can go check it out. We had 294 subscribers. I promised you, tukigonga 300 subscribers, I'll be dropping a new video. So be on the lookout for that as well. I would like to just say also Home Run in PP is kept lights on by you, the listeners. So if you like what you're doing, there's a tip jar line pale viju 0721948229. Na kama unavyoona, our studio is taking shape. Hey, yeah, we are taking shape, and I just wanted to tell you guys, ile kidogo nye mnatuma ndo inatushikilia hapa hivi, ndo inaweka wifi, ina make sure rent is paid, ina make sure pia mnaona equipment zinakuja. So these are listeners who actually see what you're doing and they're like, okay, PP, what can we get you in the studio? So I'm like, okay. Naenda pale hivi kwa wish list yangu, naona kitu yenye iko very important, the one at the top. And right now, everything, all my resources, my life is dedicated in this studio. So that is why you're seeing we are getting new stuff hapa hivi ndani. I'm looking to get 2 more chairs for the, 3 more chairs for guests, because I want to have panel discussions sooner or later. So thank you so much kwa wale ambao wanatusupport hapa hivi. Mkishangaa kenye tunafanya, that is what we do. Yes. All right. Nataka kuambia usiku mwema. I will see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Tomorrow is our last mental health space for the month, because September we dedicated it to suicide prevention month. I want to say shout out to Irene for your tip. Asante sana. Yeah, so as I say, kila tip in a matter, by the way. Yes. Yeah, no tip is small. Na kusurvive bwana si rahisi. But anyway, we got you guys. Unasema kwamba we need to keep our voice independent, because when we get bought by politicians, now we start contorting stories. And I even saw how John Mbadi was speaking, and I was like, okay, that is not how I want us to end up when we finally get there.
Social conversations, engaging topics on your phone anywhere. This is Home Run with Pippi.
African journey, keep warm. Tunaombea bana pale hivi, sisi hapa tuko na joto, and the rest of you have a great night. Good night, guys. Bye.